Welcome to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on?
When you make the worst fucking picks of all time, you get an intro song. Here we
That's
are,
right.
back
That's
again
right.
for week 1 picks after a god-awful week 0. But you know what? We can only go up from here. It's what happens. Week 0. Week 1 of the NFL is probably going to be the same. Don't fucking listen to us. It's fine. Who cares? Week 2,
We'll listen to it.
We'll make
just
some money.
listen to it. Just maybe go
Yes.
backwards from everything that we pick. How about that?
That's true. Just fade all of our picks and you'll be fucking rich.
There you go.
All
Making
right,
money.
so here we are, Tuesday Night Touchdown NCAA edition, week 1 picks. Over there, as you heard in the wonderful intro song, that is Reese Downing.
What's going on?
I am Jacob Workman. We are back again. A little bit of note I wanted to add here for you guys, just because we wanted you to hit us up for a little bit of comments. And we're also going to have where you can throw in your locks of the week to us also. Our social media pages at Tues Night Pod, TUESNIGHTTDPOD. And that's on X, that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook. For those of you who don't know what the fuck X is, that's Elon's creation of Twitter. So send us messages there. We want to hear your locks of the week, and we'll compare them to ours. If you want to hit us up individually, I'm at Jacob Workman, and he is at Z Reese Downing on X.
And
Reese-
this week it took us all of 2 minutes to drop the first F-bomb.
Yeah, and that's a long time. Probably will come quicker next week.
Yeah, I was going to say. Just gets more loose
Especially
as we
if
go.
a certain team loses Sunday night. We'll probably have a lot of them very quickly.
Yeah.
So just before we get into our review, what was your thoughts on week 1?
It was a shit show. I got my first win right off the bat there with the Notre Dame game, and then I fell flat the rest of the damn way. So not a great way to start, but
I know. I even sent you a text saying, hell yeah, you started 1-0.
yeah, so
Well,
it's your fault. You
That
jinxed
was it. That was
Yeah.
it. And then I won the second game. And after
Yeah.
7 p.m., we decided not to use Astroglide, and we got penetrated roughly. It was a very bad week after 7 p.m. got here.
Oh man.
All right.
Oh
so
man.
start the review. First game of the day, Dublin, Ireland, Navy, Notre Dame. Notre Dame was a 20-point favorite. That was Reese's win. He hit that. I had Navy thinking their offense might have any sign of life. They didn't. It was awful.
They did not.
No, Notre Dame came out and their offensive line basically said, "We're big as fuck. We're awesome. What are you going to do? You have no chance." Their line is ridiculous. And I've gained a lot of Notre Dame going into this year. I was kind of skeptical just because of a little bit of the turnover they've had. But the way that they're going to play, and this week is kind of a shitty game again, but the week after they got NC State, and then in a few weeks Ohio State's coming to South Bend. That's going to be fun to watch just because of the style of play they're going to play.
Yeah.
Hartman's debut, he was 19 of 23, 251 yards and 4 touchdowns, but I don't think he was pressured at all. So, I mean, anyone could have done that, so it's not that impressive. I mean, I know the media is hyping it up, but when they go to Raleigh and play NC State, I think we'll get a little bit more of a feel for what it's going to be there, especially with a team that's used to him being because he used to play at Wake Forest in the conference.
Yeah. I mean, they came in minus 20, right? That was what the spread
Correct.
was. They won 42-3. So, I mean, this could be a sign of things to come for Notre Dame, or it could be a sign of things to come for Navy. I think it's a little early to tell there, but yeah, it was a slacking there in Dublin.
Yeah, and I know I mentioned last week that we would see some changes to Navy's offense. Well, apparently the only change was they're going to be shitty because they didn't really run anything out. They maybe 3 plays out of the shotgun. They actually did have a few plays with some wide open receivers, and 2 of them ran right into each other and knocked each other down, which I found hilarious. But I guess it is what it is in a game like that. Do you have anything else on Notre Dame Navy?
Nope. Just that I think the jury's still out there. So we'll see what happens against the NC State game. But yeah.
So going on, the next game was UTEP -1.5 at Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, it was their first FBS game and Conference USA game. Rich Rodriguez came with the win. They won 17-14, despite the quarterback Zion Webb only throwing for 67 yards. It was a despicable game to watch for someone who loves passing. He did end up rushing for 63 of their 218 yards on the ground. Do you have anything on this game?
No, not really. I mean, I thought the game was obviously going to be close. UTEP only had a -1.5 going into the game. Kind of a random start time at 5:30. I don't know if that contributed to anything, but yeah, Rich Rod gets that first win. Excited to see what's going to happen as they continue to move forward in the FBS. But yeah, wasn't much of a game.
No, not at all. So moving on, UMass. I know I said last week I have a rule for the last 3 to 4 years. I will not bet on UMass. They suck. Well, holy shit. I don't know what the hell they did in the offseason, but UMass won a game. 41-30 over New Mexico State. Ex-Clemson, he was one of the top recruits when he was at Clemson. Then he transferred to Georgia Tech, and now he is at UMass. And the name I'll butcher, but Tayson Famakan. He threw for 192 and he rushed for another 96 and a touchdown. Pretty sloppy game overall. It was extremely hot there too. I don't know if you watched it at all. Do you have anything on this game?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch. I watched the highlights. You know, they went in, I think, was it 13-10 going into the third quarter, and then both offenses just exploded. I think that UMass scored 28 in the fourth. So, yeah, I didn't think much of the UMass team. Obviously, they're playing New Mexico State, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But, yeah, I was a little surprised that UMass put up 41 against any team.
Definitely, especially if you looked at it in the last few years. So going to what was my lock of the week, Ohio at San Diego State. San Diego State was -3. Unfortunately, Ohio quarterback Curtis Rourke, who was, some said, rushed back from an injury. He went 8 for 10 for 75 yards before getting hurt in the first half, and then he never returned. And the backup CJ Harris was horrendous. The very first play he was in the game, he threw an interception. He threw 2 more, ruining any chance Ohio had at a victory. San Diego State, they have switched to an air raid offense, and it was pretty unproductive also. They finally went back to running the ball later in the game, and that's kind of what sealed it for them. Ohio did have the ball at the end with a chance to win, but threw a pick. Do you have anything on that one?
No, not really. Like you said, you know, the guy went down 18 to 42, 1 touchdown versus 3 picks. Kind of hard to win a football game when you're throwing the ball like that. So,
Hawaii was at Vandy. Game was delayed for it was about 2 hours because of lightning, and then it was Vandy was a 16.5 point favorite. They ended up only winning by 7. It was Hawaii 28, Vandy 35. Hawaii looked very much improved. I know I said last week, look for them a little later in the season to be good, but maybe they've improved a little quicker than I thought because they actually played pretty well. Vandy's defense, not the best. Their offense was very good, though, I thought. And forbid us last week, we mentioned 2 Delta greats, and we left out the Delta great offensive coordinator for Vandy, Joey Lynch. Put on quite a show Saturday night against Hawaii's defense. I was very happy watching that. What did you think of the Vandy-Hawaii game?
I mean, it was a fun game to watch from an offensive standpoint. Vanderbilt scored every quarter. I thought Hawaii was potentially going to make a comeback there. I think they scored 2 touchdowns there in the fourth. The quarterback there, Brandon Shager, I think is his name, right? He had a pretty decent game outside of those 2 picks, 27 to 35. He had 350 yards, pretty prototypical for a Hawaii quarterback to be airing it out there. So, fun game to watch. We'll see how Hawaii plays for the rest of the year.
So we got some questions answered in LA. San Jose State was at USC. USC was -30.5. It was a final San Jose State 28, USC 56. So Caleb Williams was Caleb Williams, 18 of 25, 278, 4 touchdowns. Looked very good. Some very elusive moves in the pocket, actually, also. He looked awesome.
Yeah.
Zachariah Branch, true freshman, making his debut. The Coliseum was going nuts. He had a 96-yard kick return, and he also had 58 receiving yards with a touchdown. But our main takeaway from this game, USC's defense carrying over from last year, it looks like. They were not impressive at all. They're going to have some major changes if they want to contend because team like Washington's going to be able to score at will. if USC's defense looks like that, it's going to be a long night for them.
Yeah, that was their schedule is going to get a hell of a lot tougher than San Jose State. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit here in a minute when we start going into the top 25 games for this week. USC's coming in, I think, with an even larger spread than the week before. Austin Jones and Taj Washington, I think, were both productive. I think Austin Jones only had 6 carries, but he had 2 touchdowns. Taj Washington had 2 receptions. He had a touchdown. So the offense is looking good, but yeah, that defense, that's not going to work against some of these bigger players, especially if they're going to end up in the college football playoff.
We closed out the night with FIU, the airport. They were at La Tech. La Tech was minus 10.5. FIU 17, La Tech 22. FIU had the lead literally the whole game. And what's crazy about this is their quarterback only had 4 yards passing. They
5 of 14.
Yeah, it's awful. But they literally were leading until like I think a minute or 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
La Tech quarterback Hank Bachmeier transferred over from Boise State. He went 34 of 44 for 333 and a touchdown. So he actually put on quite a show, but only 1 touchdown in the end. But that was all they needed to win the game. What are your thoughts on La Tech?
That was a very, very interesting game. For a quarterback to go 5 of 14 for 4 yards is rough. That's like Delta freshman football rough. To me, the story here was fantasy explosion of Smoke Harris. He had 11 catches with 155 yards and a touchdown. So that was fun to check out. But yeah, that FIU's in for a rough season if that's what they're going to be putting out there is 5 and 14 for 4 yards.
Yeah, I love the fact Florida International, the fact that they're called the airport is fucking awesome. I love that, but flights were definitely grounded at the airport on Saturday because that was horrendous. 4 fucking yards. Like, come on. Like, I could go 4 yards. Like,
what's that Malaysian flight MH370 completely missing? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was some rough shit.
It was absolutely horrendous. 4 yards of passing. All right, so this is going to be our sad part of the podcast, our locks of the week last week. So I had Ohio +3, loss. Reese had USC -30.5, loss. We both went 1-6 for the week. Thankfully, we decided to be different on 1 game each so that we could get a win. But other than that, that's all we had. So, all right, before we move on to week 1, you have anything else on week 0?
Just that I hope that this is going to be put into the rearview mirror and we can kick week 1 off a little better than we did week 0.
Well, the good thing I guess for us is we're picking 85,000 games, so there's going to be quite a bit of selection here. So
you say that now, but
well, yeah, right.
They went 1-6 last week. We could go like 1-30 this week. So
right. As long as we're not let's get the lock right. As long as we get our lock right. Anyone that's listening, just bet our fucking lock and hope. Don't worry about any of the other bullshit we say.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Listen, bet it all. Bet your house. All right. Thursday this week, the team from Gainesville, Florida, traveling to Utah. Utah is -7. It's an 8 p.m. game on ESPN Thursday night. Cam Rising's health, huge question here. Kind of like Ohio's quarterback last week. I thought, no, he's going to be fine. Well, he wasn't fine. Cam Rising, is he healthy? The thing that I'm with in this game is, does it matter? I think Utah's defense might be good enough to beat Florida without Cam Rising. And Utah does not lose at home. Like, that's just one thing they haven't done in the last few years. They don't lose. Florida is bringing in Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. He's awful. I don't know. I have no thoughts on why they brought this guy in to be their quarterback. I think it's a terrible decision. Utah's defense, I think, is going to absolutely eat him alive. I am taking Utah -7.
I'm with you there. As you just mentioned, Graham Mertz, first game at QB is going to be a tough one. Utah lost last year in a really close game, and I think they're going to be out for revenge. So I've got Utah at home winning this one and covering the spread.
So that is our only Thursday game. We are moving to Saturday, noon on the Peacock. East Carolina, the Pirates are going to be in Ann Arbor playing Michigan, -35.5. Michigan's playing Duck Duck Goose with who wants to be their head coach this week. It's going to be co-defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. ECU only bringing back 2 starters on offense. That might be a problem. I don't think coaching is going to matter in this game, and Harbaugh is coaching the whole week of practice anyway. I will take Michigan minus 35.5 to open it up with a huge start for what is expected to be a very big season with national championship hopes in Ann Arbor.
All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting week then, because we already have a little bit of a difference in opinion here. Michigan's 3-3 against the spread in non-conference games over the past 2 seasons. So between that and the fact that ECU typically protects the ball pretty well and limits turnovers, Michigan's going to win this one handedly, but I don't think they're covering the spread. So I'll take the 35.5 in ECU.
The only positive of that is by 3 p.m. on Saturday, one of us is going to have a win. All right, and moving on to the next game, Virginia versus number 12 Tennessee at Nissan Stadium, the home of the Titans. Tennessee is minus 28.5. The Vols have a high-powered offense led by Joe Milton. They're going to be facing Virginia, which a lot of people are saying is one of the worst teams in college football. What is your pick for this game?
Yeah, Joe Milton's first game is the clear number 1. Game's playing in Nashville, so they're not in Rocky Top, but Virginia did not finish the season well last year. They've got a transfer lead in the offense from Monmouth, if that tells you anything. I think Tennessee keeps that Heupel offense moving, so I'll take Tennessee minus 28.5.
That is the exact same thing I had. I went with Tennessee also. A very interesting game we're moving to here. Colorado is going to number 17 TCU. They were the national runner-up last year. TCU is minus 20.5. It's the big noon kickoff on Fox. Deion's debut. New offensive coordinator at TCU, Kendall Briles. What do you have here for the debut of Deion and Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, so prime time and not so prime time at a 12 p.m. time, same, but big game to kick off his tenure in Colorado against a ranked opponent and the team that was in the Natty last year and got absolutely demolished. Obviously not the same TCU team as last year. So they lost 8 players to the NFL. They got a new QB at the helm. I think TCU is going to win this game, but Colorado is going to keep it close enough. So I'll take Colorado in that 20.5 spread.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have Colorado plus 20.5. I think Colorado is going to struggle this year just because of their schedule. It is extremely tough, but I do think this is a game that they can contend in, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they don't sneak out a win in this one. I give them a little bit of a chance here. All right. Next game, Arkansas State on the road at Oklahoma, number 20 in the nation. They are minus 34.5. It is the noon game on ESPN. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel back for Oklahoma. It is year 2 under Brent Venables. I am going to go ahead and take Oklahoma minus 34.5.
I'm with you. Obviously Venables cannot have a season like he did last year. He's going to be out on his ass pretty quickly here. Butch Jones is 6-2 against the spread in non-conference games and is going into, I think, his 3rd year, but he's going to be 6-3 here. I think Oklahoma is going to take it. So we'll do Oklahoma minus 34.5.
All right, moving on to Utah State at number 25, Iowa. They are minus 25.5 at noon on FS1. Big question here is, will Cade McNamara be healthy enough to play? There's been a little bit of an injury for him. Nothing has been said if he's playing or not. The good news for Iowa is Utah State does only bring back 3 starters on defense, so I'm not sure it's really going to matter. I think this might be a coming out party for Iowa's offense, so I am going to take them minus the 25.5. What do you have?
Yeah, like you just said, we're not sure about what's going on with Cade McNamara. He came back to practice today, I believe, but he's still listed as questionable. So with him not being 100%, even if he does play, I think the safe play here is to take the points in Utah State. So that's what I'm going to go with.
All right, so the next 2 games we do not have lines on. Mercer at number 22, Ole Miss, 2 o'clock on ESPN Plus, and Portland State at number 15, Oregon, 3 p.m. on the Pac-12 network. Those games are going to be picked on our socials, so just make sure you follow those later in the week when the lines are available. We do have a line, though, for number 3, Ohio State, minus 28.5 at Bloomington, IU, 3:30 p.m. CBS, which is interesting to see for a Big Ten game. Kyle McCord was named the starter today for Ohio State. Devin Brown is still going to get some playing time, though. IU has not beat Ohio State since 1988. I will take Ohio State in a runaway, covering the spread.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Again, haven't won since '88. Anthony Thompson won Big Ten Player of the Year that year, and he was the running back for IU. So they've lost the last 7 games by an average of 30 points. So yeah, I'm taking the Buckeyes minus 28.5.
This next game is one I am very excited for. Boise State making the trip to number 10, Washington. Washington is minus 15.5, 3:30 game on ABC. Big question here is, can Boise get a run game going against the defensive front from Washington that's absolutely loaded with talent? Washington did lose their starting running back last week with a lower body injury in practice. And Boise State's defense, can they stop the air assault from Michael Penix Jr.? All right. I'm taking Washington minus 15.5. I don't know if this is going to be close, but I want Washington and win big.
Yeah, man. This kind of feels like a trap game. Like minus 15.5 feels like a trap. Washington's at home, starts their bid to be one of the last teams in a potential 14 playoff. Like they have a chance to be there at the end. Boise State usually puts up points, and they brought back some solid pieces, but Penix and company, I think they're going to make a point in this game and they'll win convincingly. So I'll take Washington minus 15.5.
All right, we're going to move to another game. Rice at number 11, Texas. Texas minus 35.5, 3:30 on Fox. Rice's quarterback is JT Daniels. You've probably heard of him because he's played at every FBS school in America. He's played for USC, he's played for Georgia, he's played for West Virginia. Somehow he's still eligible to play at Rice. Big question here, though, is this is Texas's warm-up game for Alabama next week. I'm taking Texas minus the 35.5 just because I think they are going to do everything they can to prepare and get everyone ready, because next week they are going to Tuscaloosa, and it's going to be a huge game.
Yep. Yeah, here we go, right? Which Texas are we going to see? This happens every year. It feels like every damn game is a toss-up. I think with Rice being an in-state matchup, the Longhorns have a little extra incentive to kick off the 2023 season here strong. Again, also, as you mentioned here, they're playing Bama next week, so they're going to want to get those boys ready to go. So it's a big spread to cover, but I'm going to roll the dice here and say Texas wins and covers.
All right, next game is another game that does not have a line yet. Like I said, will be our official pick will be posted on our socials. Tennessee State's going to number 13 Notre Dame, 3:30 on NBC. Eddie George is Tennessee State's coach, taking them in there, and this is Notre Dame's tune-up game for NC State. But like I said, you will get the official pick once a line is out. Just check the socials. We're going to continue right after that. Buffalo at number 19, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's minus 27.5, 3:30 p.m. on FS1. It's the Dairy Raid debut in Madison, what everyone's been waiting to see. Buffalo was a decent team last year, but the problem is they did lose a lot. They're only bringing back 10 starters. I am all about the Wisconsin team this year. I want Wisconsin minus 27.5.
Yep. Big Luke Fickell, first game as the Badgers ball coach. Couple that with Phil Longo as the new OC, and they've got the horse team transfer and Tanner Mordecai. Wisconsin always seems to show up really well against MAC schools, so I'm taking Wisconsin here to cover.
All right, UT Martin traveling to number 1 Georgia, 6 p.m. ESPN Plus. No one gives a damn about this game other than watching the debut of Carson Beck. Don't forget, that was my Heisman bet. I don't care what the line is. I'm taking Georgia. So yeah, check the socials. The pick will be there. Yeah. Georgia minus 300. We're taking it.
Yep.
Nevada traveling to LA, USC. 6:30 p.m. They are minus 38.5 on the Pac-12 network again, which means I have to struggle again to find this fucking game. This network sucks, and I don't know why we're putting USC on it, but here we are again. Nevada has been absolutely terrible on offense the last few years, only averaging 18 points per game. I think that might be exactly what USC needs, because their defense needs to come out and actually look like a real defense and be able to stop someone. I actually am going to take USC this week, minus the 38.5. I think they need to come out and have a little bit of a confidence boost.
Yeah, we'll see, man. They came back to bite me last week, and this is even a bigger spread than week 0. So I've been going back and forth on this all day, but USC is going to win this game convincingly, but I'm going to take Nevada the 38.5. I see this potentially being a possibly a 5 touchdown win, but that only takes them to 35. So I'll take Nevada in the 38.5.
All right. Next game does not have a line. Southeast Missouri State at number 16, Kansas State, 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Southeast Missouri State is the number 9 ranked team in FCS, so they are not a horrendous team. They are going up against a absolute juggernaut on offense. Will Howard returns, lead the offense with Trayshawn Ward and DJ Giddens. Again, not a pick yet. It will be on the socials. I'm telling you right now, I'm taking Kansas State. I don't care what the line is. Same for you?
Yep.
Perfect. So, big debut for the next one in College Station. New Mexico at number 23, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is minus 37.5, 7 p.m. on ESPN. It is the debut of offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino for A&M with quarterback Connor Wigman. New Mexico was only 2-10 last year. So I think it's going to be a little bit of an interesting start, but I do think 37.5 might be just too many points. I am going to go with New Mexico.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hot seat season, I think, for Big Jimbo, potentially. Petrino coming in to run the offense, I think, is going to make a difference, but I don't think AMN scored more than 40 in a game last year. And with the new OC, new QB, I'm gonna, then to take in the large spread here. I'll stick with Billy Gonzo's team to get that 37.5. Texas A&M is going to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be that big.
Middle Tennessee at number 4, Alabama, minus 39.5. Huge spread. 7:30 p.m. on the SEC network. We're not sure yet who we're going to see at quarterback for Bama. Saban will not say. The other question is, how many quarterbacks will we see? Will we see 1? Will we see 2? We could even see 3. All I know, Bama better figure it out quick. Texas is coming to Tuscaloosa next week. Someone's going to need to be the damn quarterback. For this game, give me Bama. 39.5. I think they cover.
Yeah, I think there's a real potential here to see 3 different quarterbacks play for Bama in this game. They've historically blown the brakes off of whoever they play in season openers, but they're also playing the Little Giants every year, so I don't think it's that big of a surprise. Could be a year where the Crimson Tide do not make the SEC championship, so I'll take them to cover the 39.5 here. But next week's game will be interesting.
West Virginia traveling to number 7, Penn State, minus 20.5, 7:30 p.m. on NBC. Drew Aller gets his first home start at quarterback against a West Virginia team that has a coach on the hot seat and has struggled a lot recently.
Yep.
This is going to be one hell of an environment. A night game at Penn State to start the year. I am on the Penn State minus 20.5. Might even give me 35.5. I don't think this one's close.
No, I don't think it's going to be close either. This is a especially interesting one for me because I've got Penn State in the playoffs based on the picks that we had in the last episode. But I'm excited to see what James Franklin's going to do. This is the best quarterback he's had a chance to coach since he's been at Happy Valley. So I think Penn State makes a big statement here in a primetime matchup and routs the Mountaineers.
All right, we got a fun one. Number 21, North Carolina, minus 2.5 versus South Carolina. The game is going to be played in Charlotte at the Panther Stadium. 7:30 kick on ABC. Drake May versus Spencer Rattler. Both defenses do have some questions, so I think this is going to be a very high offensive show here. What do you have going for this game?
Carolina battle, right? So it's always fun to watch with us being in the low country. This is particularly going to be a good one, I think, because it's Drake May versus Spencer Rattler, who I feel like has been playing college football since we were in high school. This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think, but I'm going to roll the dice and take the Gamecocks to pull an upset.
I am with you also. I same thing. I want the plus 2.5. I want the money line. I want everything. I think South Carolina wins this game. So we are going to move to South Alabama at number 24, Tulane. Tulane is minus 6.5, 8 p.m. ESPNU. I think this is going to be a great game, and actually the winner of this game is going to have a huge advantage in the race to be the top-ranked team for the group of 5 at the end of the year. I actually like South Alabama here. Give me them in the points.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know too much about South Alabama, but Green Wave kicking off the year in a primetime matchup is going to be fun. Tulane can put up points. They finished the season 12-2 last year, including a season-ending thriller against the Trojans. They did lose Spears, but they're returning Michael Pratt. I'm going to take Tulane minus the 6.5.
All right, so that closes out our Saturday games. We are going to move on to Sunday now, where we just have two. Number 18, Oregon State is minus 16.5 at San Jose State, the team we saw play USC last week, 3:30 p.m. on CBS. We just saw what their offense can do against USC. I mean, pretty successful offense. But is that USC's defense? That's the other question.
Right.
Oregon State, it is the debut of Clemson transfer quarterback DJ Uyunglele. I'm actually pretty high on Oregon State this year. I think they are one of the surprise teams of the Pac-12. I think they're going to be able to upset some people. This conference is just going to beat itself up like we talked about last week.
Yep.
Give me the points to start the year. I want the minus 16.5 with Oregon State on the road.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Beavers are coming off their third double-digit win season in program history. I think they keep that momentum rolling into 2023 and get a big win against San Jose State here, so I'll take the Beavers minus 16.5.
Well, here we are. Number 5, LSU minus 2.5 versus number 8, Florida State in Orlando. 7:30 p.m. ABC. If there is a such thing as early college football implications, this is it. Jordan Travis versus Jaden Daniels. The portal was great to both teams. What more could you ask for week 1 than this battle? What are you thinking?
Man, what a way to kick off the season, right? I mean, this is not only the game of the week, but could become or end up being one of, if not the biggest game of the year. So you got to love this. You know, Bayou Bengals, Jaden Daniels, Brian Kelly, they all exceeded expectations last year by beating Bama. They won the SEC West. They finished the season just completely thrashing Purdue. That said, this could be Florida State's year. Mike Norvell's had his team on the rise, leading by Heisman Trophy candidate Jordan Travis. Florida State won this game last year in a tight one. I think it's going to be a tight game again, but I think the Noles pulled this one out in Orlando and set their sights on the trip to the college football playoff the right way, so I am taking Florida State.
Yeah, I am on Florida State also. Gamblers, what I will tell you, Florida State has never won a game I've been in attendance. I'm going to be in attendance. That's not a good fucking sign. Just keep that in mind when you're placing your bets. I obviously am a huge Noles fan. I could not be more excited for this team. This team, you've seen over the last few years, you've seen what it's become and you've seen it grow. And I think they're ready this year. I think there are some big losses on defense for LSU, and that could be the difference. Give me the Noles. And let's pray to God next Tuesday night we're talking about a victory.
And that you're still alive.
That also. Monday night, Labor Day, number 9 Clemson, minus 12.5 is on the road at Duke, 8 p.m. ESPN. Mike Elko back for the second year as head coach at Duke. They were a great team last year under Elko. He's done one hell of a job there. I love what he's doing. Also, 17 starters coming back. I don't think that's what Clemson wants to see to start the year. With a brand new offense under Garrett Riley, Cade Klubnik's back. I mean, he was iffy last year. There was nothing that was like, oh, this guy's fucking great, like everyone talks about. I think this is a great first game of the year. I am on Clemson minus 12.5. If that number was 14.5, give me Duke. But I think that's what Vegas is doing for a reason. I will take Clemson. That's one of my least confident picks of the week, though. I think Duke could even surprisingly win this game.
Yeah, it took me a while to think about this one. You know, I'm not surprised that the spread isn't larger, just to your point. Duke lost 4 games last year by 8 points or less, so I think they're trying to keep it a little close here. They did not play any ranked opponents last year, so I will say that. With all the buzz that's going on in the ACC, pretty much focused around Florida State, I think Dabo gets his guys fired up and wants to come out with a statement win on the road. So I'll take Clemson minus the 12.5, but I'm with you. If this were to be like a 14.5 spread, then I would be way less likely to take Clemson, but I'll go with Clemson here minus 12.5.
All right, so that wraps up the top 25. We do our 6-pack every week, plus Ball State that we're going to be doing. We're just randomly picking 6 great games for the week, or games that we have interest in, plus Ball State. We're going to kick it off. Nebraska at Minnesota. Minnesota is minus 7.5. This is a Thursday night at 8 p.m. game on Fox. Matt Rule back in college football, taking over Nebraska. Going to go try to shove the oar up old boy's ass in Minnesota while he's rowing the boat. I'm actually going to go Minnesota -7.5 here. I think their talent is still just a little bit too much better than what Nebraska has, but I do think this is going to be a good game.
Yep, I'm with you. Don't have too much to say on this game, but I am taking Minnesota -7.5.
PJ Flex Anus will be happy with that. All right. The team we always talk about, Ball State, they are kicking off the year at Kentucky, number 26.5, Saturday noon, SEC Network. Liam Cohen back at OC for Kentucky. He did leave after 2 years ago to go to the Rams. Now he's back. They brought in NC State transfer Devin Leary at quarterback, which should get the offense moving. Ball State, Lane Hatcher coming in at quarterback. He's played everywhere also, like JT Daniels. He's been at Alabama. He's been at Arkansas State, Texas State. Now he's at Ball State. I don't think it matters. Give me Kentucky -26.5.
All right. Yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to see Ball State win this game, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's week 1, so I'm going to go with my mighty Ball State Cardinals to cover the spread, so we'll do a little flip-flop here. I'm going to take Ball State with the 26.5.
I like it. All right, so we are going Fresno State at Purdue. Purdue is -4.5 Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network. UCF transfer Mikey Keene takes over for the Bulldogs offense after Jake Haener has left to go to the NFL. Purdue quarterback Hudson Card comes in from Texas. He's going to be here with new head coach Ryan Walters. He was the defensive coordinator at Illinois last year. I will be taking Fresno like I have every week for the last 3 years. Fresno +4.5.
Yep, right there with you. Taking Fresno State.
All right, moving on. Washington State -12.5 at Colorado State, Saturday at 7 on CBS Sports Network. I think this is going to be a good game. Colorado State's defense is improved. They're very good last year, and Washington State normally has a high-powered offense. I'm going to go with the offense. I want Washington State -12.5.
Yep, I'm right there with you again. I'll take Washington State.
All right, your MAC favorite last week, Toledo at Illinois -9.5 Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Ole Miss quarterback Luke Altmaier has transferred into Illinois. He's going to be the starter to open the season against MAC favorite Toledo and quarterback Daquan Finn. I think this is going to be a really good game. I know you like Toledo to win the MAC. Who are you picking here?
I'm taking Toledo here. I think they're going to pull it out.
I am with you on that. Toledo plus the 9.5. And we're going to move Texas Tech -13.5 at Wyoming, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on CBS and Paramount Plus. Wyoming has lost both running backs to injury, and Texas Tech is looking to continue off a great ending of the year last year. Give me Texas Tech -13.5. What do you have?
Yep, Texas Tech -13.5.
All right, moving to the last game of the night, Coastal Carolina at UCLA -14.5. It's a Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. on ESPN. To me, there's nothing better than a game being on this late that you know is just going to be absolutely fucking crazy, and that's what you're going to get here. Grayson McCall's back at quarterback for Coastal Carolina. I think this is his 30th year there. He's been there forever. UCLA has named quarterback Ethan Garbers the starter. Everyone's been talking about freshman quarterback Dante Moore and how they can't wait to see him. So hopefully we do get to see him in this game also. I am taking UCLA -14.5.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I get UCLA -14.5.
All right, we are going to move to our locks of the week. Reese, what is your lock for the week?
I'm going with my boys down at Happy Valley. I'm going to take the Penn State West Virginia game. It's only a 20.5 point spread. Penn State's at home. That place is going to be rowdy as hell. It's a 7:30 game. They're coming out to make a statement. Drew Aller's coming out to make a statement. So my lock for the week is going to be Penn State.
I like it. I was close to that one also. However, I did go, mine's going to be over early. I went Thursday night. I want Utah -7 against Florida. I think they're going to be too much for them on defense. So that pretty much wraps us up for the week 1 picks. Was there anything you have to add for week 1 at all?
Not outside of I hope to God this week goes better than week 0.
Yeah, I agree. Week 0 was awful, but there's always room for improvement. One thing I do want to throw in for you guys, though, just for some early look ahead, Texas at Alabama. Alabama's -6.5 right now. Texas A&M is -7.5 at Miami, and Nebraska is -8.5 at Colorado. Those games are all next Saturday. To me, some of these are crazy. Like, how can Texas +6.5 and Colorado plus the 8.5 right now? I absolutely love. Jump on the early lines if you're willing. I think those are great bets right now. Is there anything you want to add on that?
No, I agree with you though. Jump on that.
All right, perfect. So just to remind everyone, hit us up on the social at TuesNightPod, TUESNIGHTTDPOD. That's on X, Instagram, Facebook. Give us your lock of the week. We're here to hear it. We'll even comment next week about some of your locks. You send them in to us. Like I said, if you want to hit us up on X, which is Twitter, at Jacob Workman is me. He is at Z Reese Downing. Just send either one of us a message. That is the week 1 pick edition. Hope for good luck for us. And go Knowles Sunday night. I will be in attendance. Let's hope for life next Tuesday night. We will see you guys. Let's have a great week. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.